Listen to me. I need you to hear this with your heart, not just your ears. Everybody wants success when it's shining, when it's easy, when the road is straight. But the moment life hits you, when the pressure comes, when the dream takes longer than you thought, your mind starts whispering, maybe this wasn't for you. Maybe you should quit. But before quitting, you better remember why you started. You didn't start this journey for applause. You didn't start it because it was convenient. You started because something inside you refused to stay the same. You started because deep down you knew there is more in you. There is greatness in you. I don't care how tired you are. I don't care how slow it feels. I don't care how many times you've been knocked down. Winners don't stop because it's hard. They stop when the mission is finished. Some of you forgot the pain that pushed you to begin. You forgot the nights you cried. You forgot the people who doubted you. You forgot the promise you made to yourself. Haptana. I'm telling you right now, go back and remember. Remember the moment you said, I'm done playing small. I'm done accepting average. I'm going all in. Because quitting doesn't erase the pain, it only multiplies it. If you quit now, you'll spend the rest of your life wondering what your life could have been if you had just held on a little longer. You're closer than you think. You're stronger than you know. You survived everything life has thrown at you, and you're still here. That means you're built for this. So today, get up, lock in, refocus. Your future's calling your name. And before you quit, remember why you started and finish what you began. Pain is the birthplace of purpose. And this truth is something people often try to avoid because it forces them to confront the very experiences they wish had never happened. But the reality is that every meaningful transformation in your life was triggered by some form of discomfort, loss, disappointment, or frustration. If everything had always been smooth, easy, predictable, and comfortable, you would have never had the motivation to grow, to stretch, or to discover what you are truly capable of becoming. Pain is the spark that ignites change, and your journey didn't begin from a place of comfort. It began from a moment when comfort could no longer sustain you. Think back to the very moment you decided to start this mission, whatever it may be. Maybe it was a dream, a career move, a fitness goal, a relationship decision, or the desire to break a cycle that has been weighing down your family for generations. There was a feeling that pushed you into action, and that feeling was not peace, it was pain. It might have been the pain of being overlooked, the pain of being stuck financially, the pain of seeing others progress while you remained in the same place, the pain of failing repeatedly, or the pain of realizing that you were living beneath your potential. For some people, the pain is rooted in shame. For others, it is rooted in a moment of humiliation that woke them up. And for some, it is rooted in a burning desire to prove that they are more than what the world sees. The power of pain lies in its ability to force clarity. When life is comfortable, you can wander for years without direction. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, you'll change next month, you'll commit next year. But when pain hits, real pain, it strips you of excuses. Suddenly you see the truth without filters. You see who you've become. You see what you've allowed. You see what you have tolerated. And that moment, uncomfortable as it is, becomes the beginning of transformation. Because pain doesn't ask for permission, it demands change. The reason some people quit halfway through their journey is because they forget the pain that gave birth to their purpose. They forget the sleepless nights that pushed them to take that first step. They forget what it felt like to be stuck, to be broken, to be overlooked. They forget the promise they made to themselves in the heat of that painful moment, that they would never go back to that place again. And when they forget, they lose the fire. They lose the urgency. They lose the hunger that pain once gave them. Comfort comes creeping back, and with comfort comes complacency. And that is why remembering the pain that birthed your purpose is not optional, it's necessary. Pain is a teacher, and it teaches in a way that comfort never could. Comfort whispers, but pain shouts. Comfort makes suggestions, but pain issues commands. Pain points out the truth without sugarcoating it and forces you to choose a direction. You either use your pain as fuel or you let it use you as a prison. Many people allow pain to trap them. They relive their hurt in their minds every day, not as motivation, but as limitation. They let the memory of the struggle convince them they're broken rather than built. But the ones who rise, the ones who become unstoppable, they take that same pain, that same memory, and they use it as a foundation. After all, They say, if I survive that, I can survive anything. They turn pain into power. There are moments in life where the hurt becomes a catalyst. Think about any great leader, any athlete, any entrepreneur, any artist or any individual who has made history in their own way. Their stories are never rooted in comfort. They all speak of wounds, betrayals, failures, hardships, and difficult moments that shape them. These moments forced them to grow. These moments forced them to choose. These moments forced them to develop a deeper purpose. And that purpose became their anchor when obstacles appeared on the path. Pain is also a mirror. It reflects not only what has happened to you, but also what you truly desire. If something didn't matter, it wouldn't hurt. The reason certain moments pierce you deeply is because they touch a part of who you are or who you wish to be. When you felt the pain of falling behind, it was because success mattered to you. When you felt the pain of being ignored, it was because being valued mattered to you. When you felt the pain of wasting time, it was because progress mattered to you. Pain reveals your values. Pain reveals your priorities. Pain reveals the truth about your heart's desires. But there is a different kind of pain, the pain of staying the same. This pain is slow, subtle, and suffocating. It's the pain of waking up years later and realizing you never lived the life you wanted. It's the pain of regret, which is heavier than any temporary discomfort of growth. When you started your journey, you weren't running toward a dream as much as you were running away from a version of yourself that you refused to continue being. You were escaping stagnation. You were escaping a cycle. You were escaping a mindset. And that pain pushed you into motion. The beauty of pain is that it has the power to transform into purpose when you choose not to run from it. Purpose is not something that comes from outside. It emerges from your experiences, your struggles, your fights, and your endurance. Purpose grows in the soil of adversity. Think of a seed underground. It is buried in darkness, pressure all around, unable to see the light. But the pressure creates growth. The darkness creates direction. And eventually the seed breaks through not just because it was meant to grow, but because the pressure forced it to become stronger. That's you. You didn't grow because life was easy. You grew because you were under pressure. The people who quit are the ones who misunderstand pain. They think pain means stop. They think pain means failure. They think pain means you're unworthy or that your dream is unrealistic. But pain is not a signal to quit. It's a signal that you're being stretched, strengthened, and shaped for something greater. In every journey, there comes a moment where pain is at its peak. This is the moment where most people give up. They tap out. They turn back. They convince themselves the dream wasn't meant for them. But what they don't realize is that this peak of pain is also the door to purpose. You push through that moment and everything begins to change. Pain is evidence that you're alive. Pain is evidence that you care. Pain is evidence that you are fighting for something. People who feel nothing are often the ones who have given up on themselves. But the fact that you feel this, the fact that you are battling emotion, doubt, exhaustion, means you're in the arena, you're engaged, you're still fighting. That feeling is proof that you haven't quit, even if you're tired, and that alone is worth honoring. There will always be voices that tell you pain is a curse, but the truth is pain is a compass. It shows you where the problem lies, but it also shows you where the breakthrough is hidden. Some of your greatest inspirations, greatest strengths, and greatest ideas will come from your most painful season. That is why so many people who accomplish extraordinary things speak of painful beginnings. They didn't have abundance. They didn't have abundance. They didn't have support. They didn't have resources. What they had was pain, and that pain gave them a reason to fight. When you understand that pain is the birthplace of purpose, you stop running from challenges and start running through them. You stop seeing obstacles as barriers and start seeing them as training grounds. You stop fearing failure and start embracing lessons. You stop asking why me and start asking what is this shaping me into? Because pain is always shaping you. Every struggle, every disappointment, every setback is forming a version of you that is stronger, sharper, and more aligned with your destiny. And when you revisit the pain that pushed you to begin, it reignites your drive. It reminds you that the journey was never about perfection. It was about transformation. It reminds you that the goal was not just to succeed, but to evolve. And it reminds you that you didn't start this journey from a place of strength. You started from a place of hurt, and you made progress despite it. That alone proves you are capable of finishing. Quitting won't remove the struggle. It will only remove the opportunity. And this is something most people do not realize until they've already walked away from something that could have changed their lives. Struggle is not an indicator that you are on the wrong path. It is a natural part of any journey that has value. Anything meaningful, anything transformative, anything that elevates your life will come with friction. The very presence of difficulty is proof that you are in the process of growing beyond who you used to be. The pain, the frustration, the fear, these are all signs that you are becoming someone stronger, someone more capable, someone wiser. But quitting, even though it may feel like the easiest option in the moment, strips you of the chance to experience the life that struggle is preparing you for. There's a dangerous illusion people fall into, the illusion that quitting makes the discomfort go away. What they don't understand is that discomfort does not disappear. It simply changes form. The struggle you feel while pushing forward will become the struggle of regret if you quit. And regret is a lifelong pain, a constant reminder of what could have been if you had just persevered a little longer. Regret is heavier because it grows with time, while the struggle of discipline shrinks as you get stronger. The challenge you face opens a door for growth, but quitting closes that door and locks it behind you. And years later, when opportunity seems scarce and your life has not improved, you look back and realize that the moment you quit was the moment you walked away from the life you wanted. Many people assume that the struggle they face is a sign to stop, when in reality it is a sign to continue. Every dream comes with resistance. Every success story is built on countless moments where quitting seemed easier. The difference between those who achieve their goals and those who don't is not talent or luck. It is the ability to endure discomfort. When you quit, you don't escape struggle. You exchange one form of struggle for another. You swap the struggle of effort for the struggle of stagnation. You swap temporary discomfort for permanent discomfort, for permanent disappointment. You swap paralysis. When you first started, you had a vision, a picture of who you wanted to be, what you wanted to achieve, and the life you wanted to create. That vision mattered enough for you to take the first step, and that vision is only reachable through effort. For a journey was never supposed to be easy. If it were easy, everyone would have it, but the fact that it's difficult is exactly what makes it meaningful. The struggle is the filter that separates dreamers from doers. And every time you choose to push through instead of giving up, you prove to yourself that you belong among the doers. In the middle of your journey, the struggle often intensifies. This is the point where most people quit. They quit because the novelty has worn off. They quit because the excitement has faded. They quit because the reality of the work has set in and it feels heavy. But this moment, this exact moment of heaviness is also the moment that determines your destiny. Struggle does not mean you are failing. It means you are progressing to the next level. Just like a muscle must tear before it grows, your character must endure pressure before it becomes strong enough to carry the weight of your future success. You cannot skip this phase. You cannot avoid it. And quitting only guarantees that all the effort you already invested will be wasted. If you quit now, what was all the sacrifice for? Those early mornings, those late nights, those moments when you pushed yourself even when nobody noticed. None of it will matter if you stop halfway. You already paid the price of starting. Don't walk away before you collect the reward of finishing. The struggle you feel is not a signal to retreat. It is evidence that you are close. The closer you get to your breakthrough, the harder the process becomes, because the challenge is preparing you for what's waiting on the other side. Quitting at that moment is like turning back right before reaching the peak of the mountain. You climb halfway, endured the hardest part, only to walk away before experiencing the view. Every struggle carries an opportunity wrapped inside it. Opportunity to learn, opportunity to grow, opportunity to elevate. But you can only collect those opportunities by staying in the fight long enough. Quitting early is like planting a seed and walking away before the plant ever breaks through the soil. The seed is capable of becoming something great, but without consistent effort, dies. Your dreams operate the same way. They require watering, nurturing, and persistence. And the moment you stop pouring into them, they begin to fade. Some people quit because they want instant results. They believe effort should equal immediate reward. But growth does not work on your schedule. Sometimes the results are hidden. Sometimes progress is happening beneath the surface, invisible to the eye. Just because you don't see change doesn't mean change isn't happening. Persistence creates momentum, and momentum takes time. Imagine a person pushing a heavy boulder. At first, it barely moves. It feels like all their strength is wasted. But if they continue pushing, something incredible happens. The boulder begins to roll, and movement becomes easier. Your journey is no different. The beginning demands the most effort. But if you quit in that stage, you never reach the point where things begin to flow. Quitting is appealing because it promises relief. But that relief is temporary, and it is followed by a deeper pain, the pain of wondering what your life could have been. When you quit, you deny yourself the experience of competence, mastery, and achievement. You deny yourself the chance to discover your own strength. You deny yourself the pride that comes from overcoming something difficult. And you deny yourself the future that only consistent effort can unlock. Struggle is part of the price you pay for living a life that is different from the one you started with. But quitting is choosing to pay a higher price, living with unfulfilled potential. There will be moments where you question everything, moments where progress seems non-existent, moments where the burden feels too heavy. And it is in these moments that the thought of quitting creeps in. But this impulse comes not because you're unworthy, but because your mind seeks safety. Your comfort zone wants to protect you from risk, from failure, from exhaustion. But the comfort zone is also the place where dreams go to die. Nothing new ever happens there. Nothing grows there. When you quit, you retreat into safety, but you sacrifice possibility. And possibility is the essence of growth. Struggle teaches you resilience. It teaches you persistence. It teaches you patience. These qualities cannot be developed in comfort. They are only built through experience. The discomfort you feel today is building a version of you who will be able to sustain success later. If success came easily, you wouldn't have the capacity to maintain it. The struggle is what gives you the mental and emotional strength to handle the responsibilities that come with winning. By quitting early, you deprive yourself of the transformation necessary to manage the life you want. The opportunity that struggle creates is not always visible, but it is always there. Every challenge introduces you to a new skill, a new mindset, or a new level of inner toughness. And these become the tools you use to unlock future opportunity. People who push through adversity become resourceful, adaptable, and confident. They develop an inner belief that no challenge is too big, no mountain is too high. But people who quit develop the opposite belief, that obstacles are final, that difficulty is a sign to stop, that the world is too heavy for them. Quitting becomes a habit, and once it becomes a habit, it becomes a lifestyle. Every time you walk away from something difficult, you reinforce the idea that you cannot handle pressure. You must make a different choice. You must decide that the struggle is worth it. You must embrace the truth that quitting solves nothing. You must understand that opportunity is often disguised as difficulty. When you push through, you are not only the opportunity waiting on the other side, but the person you become along the way. And that person, the one shaped by perseverance, is the version of you who can achieve it. Emotional endurance is one of the most underestimated forms of strength. People tend to believe success is built on talent, intelligence, or physical power. But the truth is that your greatest victories depend on your ability to keep moving when your emotions are working against you. It is easy to be motivated when you feel excited, inspired, confident, or hopeful. But real progress begins the moment motivation disappears. When your feelings shift and your mind starts to doubt. When your heart becomes heavy and the journey stops feeling rewarding. Those are the moments that separate the people who want success from the people who achieve it. Emotional endurance means pushing forward even when everything inside you is asking for rest, escape, or relief. It means not allowing your passing emotions to dictate your long-term destiny. Every dream requires a level of emotional strength that cannot be developed overnight. You learn endurance through experience, through moments where you feel overwhelmed, disappointed, or discouraged, but still decide to keep going. Life will test you emotionally long before it rewards you physically. The real battle is internal. The war happens in your mind and heart. Your emotions will fluctuate. Some days you'll wake up hungry to work. Some days you'll feel like you're walking through mud. Some days your confidence will be sky high, and some days you will question every move you make. Oh, that is normal. What matters is whether you can keep showing up despite the emotional turbulence. Emotional endurance means understanding that your feelings are temporary, but your commitments are not. It means accepting that you won't always feel powerful, focused, or inspired, but choosing to act anyway. People who fail often believe that discipline is about fighting laziness. But discipline is actually about fighting emotional inconsistency. Laziness is easy to conquer. Emotions are not. It's much harder to work when you're heartbroken, stressed, frustrated, or disappointed. It's much harder to pursue a goal when life hits you with unexpected problems, when relationships fall apart, when plans collapse, or when your self-belief takes a hit. In those moments, the temptation to quit becomes stronger, not because you are weak, but because you are hurting. But emotional endurance means you don't let the emotional storm knock you off your path. There will be times when you question your worth, times when you feel like you're giving everything yet receiving nothing in return, times when silence feels heavier than failure, times when you compare yourself to others and begin to wonder whether you're falling behind. Emotional endurance allows you to navigate these storms without losing your identity. You keep going, not because it's easy, not because it feels good, but because you made a decision to see this journey through. When people quit, it is rarely because they lack ability. It is almost always because they cannot handle the emotional weight of the process. The ability to tolerate frustration, disappointment, boredom, and doubt is far more important than talent. One of the greatest challenges in life is learning how to work without the emotional reward that often comes from progress. At the beginning of a journey, everything feels exciting. Every small improvement feels like a victory. Every step makes you proud. But eventually that excitement fades and the real work begins. You enter the phase where progress slows down, where results feel distant, where your effort begins to feel repetitive and unglamorous. This is the stage where emotional endurance becomes necessary. You need to keep showing up even when you are no longer rewarded emotionally. You need to remind yourself that consistency matters more than excitement. Many people rely on motivation to sustain their progress, but motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. Emotional endurance, on the other hand, is like the foundation of a building. It keeps you grounded during storm. It keeps you steady when your emotions fluctuate. It gives you the strength to continue, even when you do not feel like continuing. This resilience is not something you are born with. It is something you build through every hard moment you overcome. Every time you push through an emotional low, you strengthen your endurance. Every time you choose discipline over emotion, you expand your capacity. Sometimes the hardest part of emotional endurance is dealing with the loneliness of the journey. People will not always understand your goals. They may not see the vision you see. They might question your choice, criticize your pace, or express doubt about your future. Their words can weigh heavily on you, especially when you are already battling your own inner doubts. Emotional endurance means not allowing the opinions of others to interfere with your mission. It means protecting your mind from negativity. It means understanding that your vision is your responsibility, not theirs. The world might not believe in you yet, but you must believe in yourself enough to keep moving anyway. You will face rejection. You will face failure. You will face moments where you lose faith in your abilities. Emotional endurance is what helps you process these experiences without letting them break you. It gives you the strength to learn from mistakes rather than running from them. It helps you rise again after every fall because you understand that falling is part of the journey. The people who succeed are not the ones who never fall. They are the ones who learn how to rise faster and stronger each time. This endurance becomes especially important when life throws challenges at you that have nothing to do with your goals. You might be dealing with stress at home, financial pressure, health issues, or relationship problems. These external pressures can drain your emotional energy, making it even harder to stay committed to your goals. Emotional endurance allows you to navigate life's chaos while maintaining forward movement. It keeps your focus alive, even when the world around you feels like it's falling apart. It doesn't mean you ignore your emotion. It means you don't surrender to them. Emotional endurance requires self-awareness. You must learn to recognize when your emotions are influencing your decision. You must distinguish between temporary feelings and long-term values. You must learn to pause before reacting. When you feel discouraged, instead of quitting, you take a moment to breathe. When you feel overwhelmed, instead of giving up, you break your task into smaller steps. When you feel insecure, instead of running away, you remind yourself why you started. Those small, intentional responses build emotional strength over time. One of the most important aspects of emotional endurance is learning to trust the process, even when you cannot see the outcome. Doubt will always whisper in your ear. It will tell you that you're wasting your time, that you're not good enough, that other people have been better than you. Emotional endurance means choosing trust over fear. It means believing that your effort is meaningful, even when results are invisible. It means continuing to plant seeds, even when you cannot see what is growing underground. Your emotions might tell you that nothing is happening, but your commitment tells you to keep going. There will be days when you feel mentally exhausted, days when your emotions drain your energy. Emotional endurance doesn't require you to be strong all the time. It requires you to be committed even when you feel weak. It means giving what you can on days when you are not at your best. It means understanding that your value is not determined by how you feel, but by how you act. You don't need to feel powerful to be powerful. You don't need to feel confident to take action. You don't need to feel ready to make progress. Consistency is the greatest expression of emotional endurance. Showing up every day, even when your emotions fluctuate, is a form of self-respect. You honor your goals by being present. You honor your future by taking action. You honor your commitment by refusing to let temporary feelings dictate permanent decisions. Emotional endurance is about becoming the kind of person who doesn't collapse under emotional pressure. You become someone others can rely on. You become someone you can rely on. And that is one of the most powerful transformations a person can experience. Your emotions may try to pull you backward, but emotional endurance keeps you moving forward. Though it is the invisible strength behind every success story. It is the force that keeps a person walking long after their motivation has died. It is the quiet determination that allows you to rebuild yourself after every fall. And it is the unbreakable spirit that ensures you reach the destination you once dreamed of. Your why is stronger than any excuse you could ever create, and this truth becomes clearer the deeper you move into your journey. Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful carried a reason inside them that was more powerful than fatigue, more powerful than doubt, more powerful than fear, and more powerful than the voice inside that whisper, stop, it's too hard. Your why is the fuel that keeps you moving when your body wants to rest, when your mind is tired, when your mind is tired, when your spirit feels drained, and when life seems to push back against every effort you make. Without a stronger why, excuses begin to sound reasonable. Without a stronger why, setbacks begin to feel finer. Without a stronger why, the journey becomes too heavy to carry. That is why people quit. Not because they are incapable, not because they lack talent, but because they have lost sight of the reason they began. The moment you identify your why, something inside you changes. You become different. You think differently. You move differently. You work differently because purpose creates power. When you know exactly what you are fighting for, excuses lose their strength. When you know exactly why you wake up early, why you push through pain, why you sacrifice comfort, the journey becomes less about how you feel and more about who you are becoming. A stronger why turns discipline into identity. It transforms effort into passion. It gives meaning to the struggle and clarity to the chaos. Everyone faces moments where quitting feels easier than continuing. It's part of being human. But the people who continue are not the ones who feel no doubt. They are the ones who have learned to anchor themselves to their purpose. Your why is the anchor that grounds you during emotional storms. When fear rises, your purpose brings you back. When discouragement creeps in, your purpose gives you perspective. When challenges appear impossible, your purpose reminds you that impossible things become possible when the reason behind them is strong enough. Excuses are seductive. They offer comfort, protection, and justification. They whisper to you that it's okay to slow down, okay to take a break, okay to give up. They present themselves as logical, reasonable, even necessary. But excuses are the greatest thieves of potential. Once you allow one excuse to win, it becomes easier for the next one to slip in. You tell yourself you'll try again tomorrow, but tomorrow becomes next week becomes next month, and eventually the dream you once cared about becomes something you slowly abandon. Not because you lacked ability, but because you allowed excuses to outweigh your purpose. Your why is the weapon that destroys excuses. When the reason behind your dream is strong enough, you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop allowing comfort to dictate your pace. You stop waiting for the right moment, the right mood, the right energy. Your purpose becomes your motivation, your fuel, your fire. And that fire stays lit even when everything else goes dark. Some people never take their goals seriously because their why is borrowed. They chase goals because society told them to, because others are doing it because they want validation or because it looks impressive, but borrowed purposes are weak. They crumble under pressure because they were never rooted in genuine desire. Your why must be personal. It must come from your own pain, your own dreams, your own experiences. It must be something that touches you deeply, something that keeps you awake at night, something that will break your heart if you abandoned it. For many people, their why is tied to the desire to change their circumstances. They are tired of surviving instead of living. They are tired of being overlooked, tired of feeling small, tired of watching others succeed while they feel stuck. That emotional frustration becomes fuel. For others, their why is tied to the people they love. They want to give their children a better life, want to honor their parents' sacrifices, want to protect their families from hardship, want to set an example that breaks generational limitations. And for others, their why is tied to their own identity. They want to prove to themselves that they are stronger than their doubts, braver than their fears, smarter than their mistakes. When your why is strong, you develop a level of resilience that surprises even you. You become someone who can endure difficulty without breaking. You become someone who can push through exhaustion without giving up. You become someone who keeps showing up even when life feels unfair. Because your purpose gives your pain meaning. It gives your sacrifices value. It gives your struggles direction. And once you learn to connect your effort to your purpose, excuses lose all power over you. There will be days when you feel mentally drained. Days when you question whether you're making any progress. Days when external circumstances shake your confidence. But your why is what keeps you steady. It acts like a compass that points you back to your path even when you feel lost. When you remember why you started, clarity returns, the noise fades, the doubts shrink, and your steps become purposeful again. Your why also helps you overcome fear. Fear is one of the greatest reasons people quit. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of change, fear of disappointment. But when your why becomes bigger than your fear, something incredible happens. Fear no longer controls you. You may still feel afraid, but you take action anyway. You may still worry, but you still move forward. You may still feel insecure, but you don't allow those insecurities to stop you. Purpose does not eliminate fear. It gives you the courage to face it. Some people wait for motivation, but motivation is unreliable. What you truly need is meaning. A meaningful reason will carry you further than any burst of motivation ever could. Motivation lasts minutes. Your why lasts a lifetime. When you feel unmotivated, your purpose whispers, keep going. When you feel overwhelmed, your purpose says, remember what's at stake. When you feel like quitting, your purpose reminds you that quitting comes with a cost too high to pay. Your why also creates discipline. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to work. It's about being pulled forward by the strength of your desire. When your why is weak, discipline feels like punishment. But when your why is strong, discipline becomes a lifestyle. You don't push yourself. You are driven forward automatically. You start behaving like the person you want to become long before the results appear. Your actions begin to align with your purpose, even on days when your emotions are out of sync. There's a version of you waiting on the other side of discipline, a version stronger, wiser, and more powerful than anything you've experienced. That version emerges when you stop letting excuses win. Excuses feel good in the moment, but they rob you of the life you could have lived. When you choose your why over excuses, every small effort becomes meaningful. Every sacrifice becomes a step forward. Every difficult day becomes part of your transformation story. Your why also protects your progress. There will be moments when distractions try to pull you away. Temptations, comforts, entertainment, laziness, negativity, and even people who do not share your vision. Your purpose acts as a filter that helps you decide what deserves your time and what does not. When you know why you're fighting, you stop wasting energy on things that do not serve you. You stop giving attention to negativity. You stop entertaining habits that delay your growth. You become selective, intentional, focused, and perhaps the most powerful aspect of your why is that it gives you the strength to rise after failure. No matter how determined you are, you will fall at some point. You will make mistakes. You will face disappointment. But people with a strong why rise faster because they know their purpose is bigger than their setbacks. They treat failure as feedback, not finality. They treat obstacles as lessons, not barriers. They get up again and again because quitting would betray the purpose they carry inside. Your why is not just a reason. It's your identity. It's the force behind every sacrifice. It's the voice that speaks when everything else goes silent. And when you hold on to it tightly, excuses become irrelevant, weakness becomes temporary, and quitting becomes impossible. There comes a moment in every journey when you realize that the path you walk is not just your own. At the beginning, when the dream is fresh and the excitement is alive, it feels like a personal mission. It feels like something you're doing to prove something to yourself. But as you grow, as you face obstacles, as you begin to understand the weight of your blessings and the depth of your responsibility, you start to see that your effort carries far more impact than you ever imagined. There are people watching you, people learning from you, people believing because you choose not to give up. There are people whose lives shift because of your decisions, your discipline, your resilience. You don't always notice them. They don't always tell you. But they are there quietly absorbing your strength, drawing courage from your progress, and building hope from your persistence. They need you more than you realize. Your existence on this earth is not random. Your journey is not isolated. The challenges you face, the storms you endure, the sacrifices you make, they are shaping you into a person who will one day inspire God and uplift others without even trying. Every time you push yourself to keep going, even on the days when your energy is low and your motivation is gone, someone else receives permission to keep going too. When you stand up after falling, someone else sees that it's possible to rise. When you choose discipline instead of comfort, someone else learns that self-control is within reach. When you bet on yourself, someone else finally believes they can bet on themselves too. There are people who depend on you even if they never say your name. A younger sibling watching quietly, a child who sees you as their definition of strength, a friend who believes in you more than you know, a parent who sacrificed everything just to give you a chance at life, a partner who trusts your decision, a neighbor who admires your work ethic, or even a stranger who is inspired by something you didn't think anyone noticed. There are people who look at your persistence and feel less alone in their own battle. There are people who look at your ambition and discover their own. There are people who look at your progress and start believing that progress is possible for them too. Sometimes the weight of responsibility feels heavy, but it is not meant to crush you. It is meant to remind you that your journey carries meaning. It is meant to push you toward your highest level. It is meant to keep you grounded, focused, and committed when your own inspiration wavers. You are not running this race only for yourself. You are carving a path that others will one day walk with more confidence because you walked it first. Think about the sacrifices people made for you long before you even understood what sacrifice meant. Think about the nights someone stayed awake worrying about your future. Think about the meals someone skipped so you could eat. Think about the opportunities someone fought for just so you could have a chance they never had. Think about the teacher who saw potential in you when you didn't see it in yourself. Think about the mentor who gave you advice that guided you through darkness. Think about the friend who stood beside you when you had nothing. Think about the family member who kept believing in you even when you doubted yourself. Think about all the people whose love, effort, and faith carried you to this point in your life. You owe it to them to keep going. Oh, you owe it to them to keep going. Not out of guilt, not out of pressure, but out of honor, out of respect, out of appreciation for the love and investment that shaped you. Your success is not just your own. It is a continuation of every sacrifice, every encouragement, every late night conversation, every helping hand that brought you this far. There are people depending on your strength even when you feel weak. There are people waiting for you to break through because your breakthrough will open doors for them. Your courage becomes their blueprint. Your determination becomes their permission. Your achievements become their inspiration. When you refuse to quit, you teach others how not to quit. When you fight for your growth, you create space for others to grow too. Life is not just about what you become. It's also about what you enable others to become through your example. You don't need to be a superstar to impact someone. You don't need millions of followers. You don't need fame or recognition. Influence starts with presence. Influence starts with perseverance. Influence starts with consistent action that others can see, feel, and learn from. The strength you build becomes the strength others rely on. The discipline you practice becomes the discipline others adopt. The way you carry yourself becomes a lesson someone else uses to carry themselves. Sometimes people depending on you are not even alive yet. They are your future children, your future family, the generations you will never meet, but will influence through decisions you make today. Your legacy begins long before you realize it. Every choice you make builds a foundation for the people who will come after you. Every effort becomes a brick in the home of someone's future opportunity. Every struggle you overcome makes the road smoother for somebody else. You must understand that quitting is not a private decision. It echoes. It affects things you cannot see, impacts lives you never expected. When you stop moving, someone else loses their reference point. Someone else loses their push. Someone else loses their belief that it can be done. This doesn't mean you must carry the world on your shoulders. It simply means that you matter in ways larger than your own doubts. Your journey is a light in places where people feel lost. Your growth shows others that transformation is possible. Your resilience becomes a signpost for those wandering in their own darkness. There will be days when you feel tired, tired in your body, tired in your mind, tired in your spirit. There will be days when you question whether your efforts are worth it. There will be days when discouragement whispers louder than inspiration. But on those days, remember the faces of the people who love you. Remember the people who pray for you. Remember the ones who believe in you more than you believe in yourself. Remember the ones who draw strength from your strength. Remember the ones who expect you to become the best version of yourself because they know what you are capable of, even when you forget. When you feel weak, borrow strength from your purpose. Borrow strength from the people who look up to you. Borrow strength from the people who dream of seeing you win. Borrow strength from the version of yourself who started this journey with passion and fire. Borrow strength from the vision that once made your heart beat faster. Borrow strength from the sacrifices that brought you this far. You did not come this far to stop. You did not struggle this much just to quit. You are carrying dreams bigger than your own. You are carrying promises that were whispered into your life long before you were old enough to understand them. You are carrying potential that will inspire people you may never even meet. You are carrying hope for those who have lost hope in themselves. Every time you choose to push harder, you lift someone else with you. Every time you choose not to quit, you contribute to a world that desperately needs examples of perseverance. Every time you choose growth, you contribute to a future that needs strong, resilient, determined individuals. People are depending on your success, not because they want to take something from you, but because they see something in you that they recognize in themselves. They see a reflection of their own dreams. They see proof that their own struggles don't have to define them. They see the possibility of their own transformation. You don't have to carry this responsibility with fear. Carry it with honor. Carry it with gratitude. Carry it with pride. Carry it with the understanding that you are not alone, and you never have been. Others have poured into you so that you could pour into the world. Others believed in you so that you could believe in others. Others supported you so that you could become a support for someone else. You are part of a chain of strength, progress, and uplift. You are not the end. You are the continuation. And because of that, your effort matters more than you know. Your persistence matters. Your hope matters. Your discipline matters. Your success matters. The people who depend on you may not always say it, but they feel it. They watch you, they learn from you, and they grow because of you. So when the road feels lonely, remember you are not walking alone. When the journey feels heavy, remember you carry more than your own dreams. And when you feel like quitting, remember the people who depend on you. The ones who believe in you, the ones who love you, the ones who need your example, the ones whose futures will be shaped by your strength. By your strength. That every journey worth taking will shape you long before it rewards you. You can set goals, create plans, build timelines, and imagine a perfect path from where you stand to where you want to go. But life will always introduce resistance, not because you're unlucky, not because the world is against you, but because growth requires pressure, and pressure only appears when you hit something that challenges your limits. Every obstacle you face is a mirror reflecting the parts of you that need refinement, strengthening, or transformation. If the road was always smooth, you would never discover your power. If everything came easy, you would never learn resilience. If success required no fight, you would never evolve into the person capable of holding it. Most people misread obstacles. They see them as warnings, stop signs, reasons to turn around. They assume difficulty means the dream isn't meant for them. They believe resistance means failure. But the truth is the opposite. Obstacles appear because you're on the right path, not the wrong one. They show up to test your commitment, build your character, sharpen your skills, and teach you the lessons that comfort could never teach you. You cannot grow without something pushing against you. You cannot elevate without something forcing you to reach higher. Obstacles are sculptors shaping you into someone more capable, more resilient, more prepared for the life you're trying to build. There are people who pray for strength, but run from the situations that develop it. They want confidence, but avoid challenges. They want wisdom without making mistakes. They want success without sacrifice. They want breakthroughs without breakdowns. But growth doesn't work that way. You cannot demand greatness and expect comfort. You cannot ask for a bigger life and avoid the weight that comes with it. You cannot expand into the highest version of yourself without first navigating the obstacles that expose your weaknesses and force you to rise. When you hit a wall, it doesn't mean the journey is over. It means you've reached the part of your story where growth begins. That wall is not blocking you. It is calling you to become stronger. When something unexpected disrupts your plan, it is not the universe saying to stop. It is the universe asking, how badly do you want this? How committed are you? How willing are you to evolve? Everything you desire requires a version of you that you have not yet become. The obstacle is the bridge to that version. Think back to every struggle you survived in your life. At the time, you may have thought it would break you. You may have felt overwhelmed, confused, lost. Yet here you are, standing stronger than you were before. What you learned shaped you. What you endured prepared you. What you overcame built the muscle you depend on today. Without those obstacles, you would not be who you are. Without difficulty, you would not carry the wisdom you now hold. Without that challenge, you would not have developed the capacity to weather storms that others crumble under. So when a new obstacle appears, don't ask, "Well, why is this happening to me?" Ask, what is this teaching me? What part of me needs to grow? What skill is being developed? What mindset is being strengthened? What weakness is being transformed into power? If you approach obstacles with curiosity instead of fear, with openness instead of resistance, with determination instead of discouragement, everything changes. The very thing that seemed like it was working against you becomes a thing that works for you. Growth rarely feels comfortable. Growing means stretching. Stretching means discomfort. Discomfort means stepping into something unfamiliar, uncertain, challenging. But that discomfort is proof that transformation is happening. You cannot stay the same and expect different results. You cannot remain soft and expect strength. You cannot stay small and expect expansion. Every obstacle demands a new level of you, and with every level you unlock, you come closer to your vision. Sometimes the obstacle is external, a financial setback, a failure, a rejection, a betrayal, a mistake, a loss, a delay. But sometimes the obstacle is internal, fear, doubt, procrastination, insecurity, old habits, old beliefs, emotional wounds, or a mindset that no longer serves you. Both kinds are part of the journey. Both kinds are necessary. The external obstacles push you physically, mentally, and strategically. The internal obstacles push you emotionally and spiritually. They build a version of you that is unshakable. You cannot outrun inner obstacles. They follow you wherever you go until you face them. If you struggle with self-doubt, it will show up every time you try to take a step forward. If you wrestle with fear of failure, it will appear every time opportunity knocks. If you carry old wounds, every challenge will poke at them until you heal. You can change your environment, your job, your relationships, or your goals, but you cannot change your life until you change the parts of yourself that react to obstacles with fear instead of growth. There are moments when obstacles seem unfair, undeserved, and heavier than you believe you can handle. And maybe they are. Maybe what you're facing right now feels too big for you. But the fact that the challenge is in your life means you are capable of facing it, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. Life does not give you battles you are not equipped to win. It gives you battles that force you to uncover strength you didn't know you had. You may not feel ready, but readiness is not the requirement. Willingness is. Willingness to grow. Willingness to grow. Willingness to get up again. Willingness to learn. Willingness to adapt. Willingness to stay committed when the road becomes difficult. Every champion has a story filled with moments where quitting felt easier. Every successful person has chapters of struggle they don't always talk about. Every leader has scars from challenges that built their wisdom. Every strong person you admire today was once someone who felt weak, overwhelmed, and uncertain. But they chose to grow instead of giving up. They chose to use obstacles as fuel instead of excuses. When you begin to see obstacles as opportunity, your entire life changes. You stop fearing difficulty. You stop avoiding challenges. You stop expecting everything to be easy. Instead, you start expecting yourself to be capable. You start believing every problem is solvable. You start trusting yourself more deeply. You start showing up with more courage and less hesitation. You stop craving comfort and start craving growth. Obstacles also teach you patience. They remind you that growth cannot be rushed. You cannot microwave success. You cannot force a seed to grow faster by digging it up every day. You cannot become who you're meant to be overnight. Obstacles slow you down, not to stop you, but to shape you properly. When the pace of your life feels slow, it means the universe is aligning the pieces, building your foundation and preparing you for bigger things. If everything came quickly, it will fall apart just as quickly. Obstacles teach you humility. They remind you that you don't know everything, that you need guidance, that you need discipline, that you must remain teachable. Humility opens the door to wisdom. Wisdom strengthens you for the journey. Arrogance blocks growth. Humility invites it. Obstacles teach you strategy. You learn how to solve problems, adjust your approach, manage your time, handle pressure, and navigate uncertainty. These skills become part of you. They follow you into every future opportunity. They make you valuable, capable, and reliable. Obstacles teach you gratitude. You begin to appreciate progress that took effort. You begin to cherish victories that require perseverance. You begin to value the journey instead of just the destination. When success finally comes, it feels sweeter because you know what it cost. You know what you endured. You know what you grew through. Obstacles build emotional strength. You learn to stay calm under pressure. You learn to manage frustration. You learn to control your reaction. You learn to stay focused even when circumstances shift. These emotional muscles are just as important as physical or intellectual ones. Obstacles create clarity. They show you what really matters. They reveal what you truly want. When something is difficult, you discover whether your commitment is real or temporary. Many people chase dreams they don't actually want. Obstacles expose what you are willing to fight for. Obstacles refine your belief. It's easy to believe when everything is smooth. It's harder when nothing goes as planned. But belief-building struggle is unbreakable. When you push through challenges and come out stronger, your confidence becomes rooted, not fragile. You begin to trust yourself in a way that cannot be shaken. The truth is, the obstacle is never the problem. The problem is the story you tell yourself about the obstacle. When you see challenges as proof that you're failing, you break. But when you see challenges as part of the path, you rise. The challenge itself is neutral. Your interpretation determines its impact. Weak mindsets see obstacles as reasons to stop. Strong mindsets see obstacles as reasons to grow. And the beauty is, strength can be developed. You can teach yourself to see differently. You can train your mind to respond to difficulty with determination rather than discouragement. You do this by showing up daily, even in small ways, even when motivation's low. You do this by reminding yourself that growth happens in discomfort. You do this by choosing action over avoidance. You do this by remembering your purpose, your vision, your why. You do this by trusting the process even when the process feels rough. Every time you overcome an obstacle, you expand your identity. You become someone who knows they can handle more. You build self-respect. You build inner strength. You build a relationship with yourself where you know you can depend on you. That is the real reward. Not the goal, not the recognition, not the outcome. The real reward is who you become through the process. There comes a point in every pursuit, every dream, every long journey where you begin to understand something deeply. Talent may open the door, but only consistency keeps you in the room. Consistency is the quiet force that accomplishes what raw talent alone never can. It is unglamorous, often unnoticed and rarely praised. Yet it is the single most powerful behavior separating people who achieve greatness from those who only imagine it. You don't need to be extraordinary to become successful. You just need to be consistent long enough for ordinary actions to compound into extraordinary results. Talent is a gift, but consistency is a choice. When choices repeated over time become destiny. You've seen people with incredible talent. People who can run faster, speak better, learn quicker, create more naturally. People who seem to pick up skills effortlessly, who impress everyone around them just by showing up. But you've also seen how quickly talent fades when it isn't supported by discipline. A talented person who works only when they feel like it will always lose to a committed person who shows up even when they don't want to. Consistency is the great equalizer. It neutralizes natural differences. It levels the playing field. It is the advantage anyone can earn. You might not be the smartest, the strongest, or the most gifted, but you can show up every day. You can take one more step. You can do one more repetition. You can give one more hour. You can improve by 1%. And the person who improves by 1% daily will always outgrow the person who improves by 10% occasionally. Whose progress doesn't come from intensity, it comes from frequency. It is not what you do once that changes your life. It is what you do repeatedly. Consistency creates momentum, and momentum is the force that makes the journey easier as you go. At first, progress feels slow. Results feel invisible. You question whether your efforts matter. You wonder if your actions are too small to create any meaningful change. But consistency is like pushing a heavy wheel. At the beginning, you push with all your strength, and it barely moves. But every push builds on the last. Every repetition builds strength. Every small action gathers energy. Eventually, the wheel begins to roll. Slowly at first, then faster until momentum carries you forward with less effort than before. That is what consistency does. It takes effort that once felt overwhelming and turns it into a natural rhythm. People quit not because their goals are impossible, but because they underestimate the power of small steps repeated consistently. They expect success to appear quickly. They expect change to be visible. They expect breakthroughs to happen overnight. When it doesn't, they assume they're failing. But the truth is, most progress is invisible at first. Transformations happen quietly. Habits are built internally before they show externally. And the foundation of success usually forms long before results appear. Most people stop during this invisible phase. They give up not because they lack ability, but because they lack patience. Consistency requires patience. Consistency requires trust. Consistency requires faith that your actions today will produce results tomorrow, even if you can't see them yet. There is a gap between where you are and where you want to be, and the only bridge strong enough to carry you across that gap is consistent. You cannot sprint across it. You cannot skip steps. You cannot magically appear on the other side. You walk it one step at a time every day, even when you're tired, even when you're discouraged, even when you don't feel motivated. Motivation comes and goes, but consistency stays. Motivation might start the journey, but consistency finishes it. When you choose consistency, you also choose discipline. Discipline is doing what needs to be done long after the feeling you had when you made the decision has disappeared. It's waking up early when you want to sleep in. It's practicing when no one is watching. It's working on your dream even when your friends are out enjoying themselves. Sticking to your plan when your emotions tell you to abandon it. Discipline is the muscle consistency grows. And like any muscle that gets stronger with use, consistency also creates identity. Every repeated action becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. When you consistently study, you build the identity of a disciplined learner. When you consistently train, you become an athlete. When you consistently show kindness, you become compassionate. When you consistently lead, you become a leader. When you consistently work toward your dream, you become someone who takes their future seriously. Identity is not built from big achievements. It is built from consistent behavior. The beautiful thing about consistency is that it doesn't require perfection. You do not have to do everything right. You do not have to avoid mistakes. You do not have to perform at your highest level every single day. You only need to keep showing up. You only need to refuse to quit. You only need to take the next step. If you miss a day, resume the next day. If you fall, get back up. If you lose momentum, rebuild it slowly. Consistency is not about never failing. It is about never staying down. When you consistently put in effort, something incredible happens. You start trusting yourself. You build self-respect. You build self-belief. You build confidence that cannot be shaken by temporary setbacks. Because nothing gives you more confidence than keeping your promises to yourself. When you say, I'm going to do this, and then you follow through, you become someone you can rely on. Many people struggle with confidence not because they lack potential, but because they have broken too many promises to themselves. Consistency repairs that relationship. It teaches you that you are dependable. It teaches you that your words have power. It teaches you that you finish what you start. Consistency also teaches you focus. It teaches you to keep your eyes on the path, not the distraction. It teaches you that not every impulse deserves your attention. It teaches you that some opportunities are actually detours. It teaches you to stay aligned with your mission. When you are consistent, you develop tunnel vision, not blind to light, but blind to anything that does not move you toward your goals. You stop chasing everything, and you start choosing the few things that truly matter. And as you become more consistent, excuses lose their power. You stop telling yourself stories like, I'm too tired. I don't feel like it, or I'm not ready, or it's not the right time. Consistency forces you to rise above your feelings. It forces you to prioritize progress over mood. Opportunities appear. People take you seriously. You earn respect. You build momentum. You create results that others call a luck, but you know it was consistency. The world rewards those who persist long enough to outlast the obstacles that stop everyone else. This is why talent alone is never enough. Talent shines bright at the beginning, but fades quickly without discipline. Consistency, on the other hand, grows brighter over time. It compounds, it expands, it multiplies. Talent might make you look special for a moment, but consistency makes you unstoppable for a lifetime. And when talent meets consistency, greatness becomes inevitable. There are people who started with more than you did. More money, more support, more education, more opportunity, but they quit early. They couldn't handle the slow parts. They couldn't handle the setbacks. They couldn't handle the grind. And then there are people who started with less than you, less talent, less knowledge, less support. And they won because they kept going. They decided that showing up every day was enough. They decided that quitting was not an option. They decided to give effort until effort gave results. Consistency doesn't require brilliance. It requires stubbornness. It requires a refusal to stop. It requires commitment. Not commitment when things are easy, but commitment when things are hard. When you're tired, when you're discouraged, when you're uncertain, when you're not seeing results. That's when consistency matters most. Anyone can show up when they feel inspired. Anyone can work hard for a week. Anyone can be motivated at the start. But very few people can keep pushing when the excitement fades, when progress is slow, when the journey feels long. That is why consistent people win. They stay when others leave. They work when others rest. They persevere when others fold. You must decide that consistency will be your advantage. Not talent, not luck, not gifts, but commitment to daily action. Because when you show up every day, something changes in you. Something shifts, something draws. You begin to feel unstoppable, not because life gets easier, but because you become stronger. Strength built through consistency cannot be broken. There will be days you don't feel like working. Days where everything seems to go wrong. Days where your mind is noisy and full of doubt. Days where your body is tired. Days where you feel unappreciated, unseen, or unsupported. But if you show up anyway, if you act despite the resistance, those are the days that build greatness. Those are the days that define champions. Those are the days that separate dreamers from doers. Consistency teaches you to embrace monotony. Not every day is exciting. Not every task is glamorous. Not every moment feels meaningful. Most of the time, it feels repetitive. But repetition is the birthplace of mastery. Every great athlete practices the same movements thousands of times. Every master musician repeats scales until their fingers move without thinking. Every great writer writes even when the words feel dull. The greatness is not in the intensity of one performance, but in the accumulation of thousands of quiet practices. When you commit to consistency, you commit to growth. Even when it's slow, even when it's boring, even when it's difficult. You grow in ways you don't recognize until one day you look back and realize how far you've come. That is the reward of consistency, not just success, but transformation. One day talent will get tired. One day talent will feel overwhelmed. One day talent will run out of excuses. And on that day, consistency will pass it. Because consistency never stops. Consistency never sleeps. Consistency never loses faith. Consistency never gives up. You don't have to be the best. You just have to keep going. The person who keeps going always becomes the person who wins. Every dream demands a price. And one of the most expensive costs you will ever face is the discipline required to stay consistent when nothing around you seems to change. Consistency is not glamorous. It does not give you instant applause, instant reward, or instant progress. It does not pat you on the back or reassure you with visible results every day. Most of the time, consistency feels like you are pouring effort into a bottomless pit and nothing is coming back. But what people often fail to understand is that consistency is not about what you see today. It's about what you build over time, brick by brick, choice by choice, sacrifice by sacrifice. The daily repetition that feels small becomes the foundation that supports everything you want in the future. When people talk about success, they talk about the highlights, the breakthroughs, the big moments of victory. They show the trophies, the results, the recognition, the achievements. But they never show the mornings when they woke up tired and did the work anyway. They never show the evenings when they pushed themselves even though their mind was exhausted. They never show the days when everything fell apart and they kept going simply because they made a promise to themselves. Consistency is built in the hidden moments, the ones no one sees, no one celebrates, and no one praises. But those hidden moments are the reason the visible ones even exist. There will be seasons where your effort seems wasted. You will work hard and nothing will move. You will show up every day but feel stuck in the same place. You will make progress and then fall back and question whether you're capable of doing what you set out to do. And during those seasons, the temptation to quit will be loud. Your mind will try to convince you that it's pointless, that nothing is working, that maybe your dream is unrealistic or too hard or too far away. But this is exactly where consistency becomes your greatest weapon. Because the person who keeps working when the motivation is gone, when the excitement fades, when the progress slows, that person becomes unstoppable. Consistency trains your mind just as much as it builds your skills. Every time you stay committed, even when it's uncomfortable, you are strengthening your identity. You are proving to yourself that you are not someone who gives up easily. You are proving that you can keep going even when the feelings are not aligned with the mission. You are proving that you can trust yourself to follow through. And when you trust yourself, you become powerful. You become someone who can push through setbacks because you know you have endurance. You become someone who understands that discipline is stronger than desire. Most people quit not because they are incapable, but because they expect results too quickly. They underestimate the time, effort, and patience required. They think consistency means progress every day, but true consistency means showing up, even on the days when there is no visible progress at all. Success is rarely immediate. Seeds take time to grow beneath the soil before anything breaks through the surface. Yet people walk away from their dreams because they don't see the sprouts soon enough. They forget that everything meaningful grows in the dark first. Consistency is what keeps you watering the soil even when it looks dry, even when nothing appears to change, even when doubt creeps in. You cannot talk your way into success. You must work your way into it. You must outlast the discomfort. You must outlast the fear. You must outlast the days when everything in you wants to stop. Consistency is not about intensity. It's about sustainability. Anyone can work hard for a day, a week, or month, but only a small percentage of people can do it for years. And that is why success belongs to the consistent, not the talented. Talent creates potential, but consistency fulfills it. Talent is a gift, but consistency is a choice. Talent may get attention, but consistency builds legacies. Every single day you show up, you are planting something, even if the progress is invisible. Something is happening inside you. You are building discipline. You are strengthening resilience. You are sharpening your mindset. You are turning effort into muscle memory. You are shaping yourself into the person capable of handling the future you dream about. The process is slow, but the transformation is real. You may not see it immediately, but one day you will look back and realize that consistency was the force that quietly rebuilt your entire life. People often look at successful individuals and assume they have extraordinary qualities. But most of the time, the thing that sets them apart is simple. They refuse to stop. They stayed consistent long after others walked away. They kept practicing even when they weren't good. They kept learning even when they felt behind. They kept working even when the results were delayed. They understood that consistency compounds. Small actions repeated daily eventually create massive outcomes. It is not about doing everything at once. It is about doing something every day. If you could see the version of yourself 5 years from now, the one who didn't quit, who stayed consistent even when it was hard, you would understand how powerful your commitment truly is. That future version of you is stronger, wiser, more confident, more capable because of the days you refuse to give up. That version of you benefits from the work you're doing now, even if right now it feels insignificant. Consistency is an investment. And every disciplined day you put in now becomes a reward that your future self gets to live with. You need to remember that the world is not obligated to give you quick results. It doesn't owe you perfect timing, perfect condition, or constant motivation. But the world will always respond to consistency. It may not respond immediately, but it will respond eventually. Success is not magic. It is math. Input multiplied over time produces output. It is the law of repeated effort. It is the accumulation of choices. It is the quiet persistence that turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Consistency also creates trust. Trust from others and trust from yourself. When people see you showing up again and again, they begin to rely on you. Opportunities come to those who are consistent because consistency proves reliability. And when you trust yourself, when you know you will show up regardless of how you feel, you reduce the fear of failure. You no longer worry about whether you can succeed because you know you will keep working until you do. There will always be distraction, setbacks, disappointments, and delays. Life will test your commitment. It will push you, stretch you, and challenge your patience. But every test is an opportunity to deepen your consistency. Every obstacle is a chance to strengthen your persistence. Every difficult day you endure makes you more unshakable. And when you become unshakable, success becomes inevitable. So when you feel like quitting, remind yourself that consistency is your pathway through the struggle. Every moment you stay in the fight matters. Every choice to keep going keeps your dream alive. Every step forward, no matter how small, keeps momentum in your favor. You don't need to be perfect. You only need to be consistent. There will come a moment in every journey where you feel completely alone, where the weight of your dreams, your struggles, your responsibilities, and your setbacks feels heavier than anything you've ever carried before. In those moments, the world becomes quiet and your mind becomes loud. Doubt whispers that you're not enough. Fear tells you that you're wasting your time. Frustration makes you believe that nothing you do matters. And exhaustion convinces you that quitting might be the easiest way to escape depression. But what most people fail to understand is that these lonely, heavy moments are not signs to stop. They are invitations to reconnect with the fire that pushed you to start in the first place. Every meaningful journey brings you face to face with who you really are when no one is cheering, no one is watching, and no one is validating your effort. This is where you learn whether your dream is built on convenience or conviction. Convenience quits when things get messy. Conviction keeps going even when everything feels uncomfortable. Conviction reminds you that the dream wasn't born in comfort. It was born in desire, in hunger, in dissatisfaction with where you were, and a vision for where you want to go. When you feel like giving up, the most powerful thing you can do is revisit that original spark, the memory of the moment you decided that your life needed more, that you needed more, that staying the same was no longer an option. The truth is, progress rarely happens in straight lines. You will have days when everything works and days when nothing works. You will go through weeks where you feel unstoppable and months where you question every step you take. This inconsistency in results does not mean you're failing. It means you're human. Growth requires patience, and patience requires understanding that struggle, the process. Everyone wants to dream, but few are willing to stick through to the stretch, the part where you're being pulled farther than you're comfortable with. But this stretch is what shapes you. It strengthens you. It expands your capacity to handle bigger responsibilities, bigger challenges, and bigger victories. You did not start your journey because it was going to be easy. You started because you wanted something meaningful. Meaning requires sacrifice. Meaning demands endurance. Meaning requires you to stand firm even when nothing around you is cooperating. And while no one likes discomfort, discomfort is the clearest sign that you are growing. If everything feels easy, it means you're standing still. If everything feels familiar, it means you haven't pushed yourself far enough. If everything feels comfortable, it means you're not evolving. The moments that make you want to quit are the same moments that are sculpting you into a stronger, wiser, more capable version of yourself. There will be people who don't believe in you, people who don't support you, people who doubt your ability, laugh at your dreams, or quietly hope you fail because your courage exposes their fear. But you cannot let their limitations become your reality. You cannot let their doubt become your identity. You cannot let their judgment rewrite the story you are working to build. Remember, your vision was given to you, not to them. Your journey is not theirs to understand. People often criticize what they cannot comprehend. They doubt what they have never attempted, and they fear what reminds them of their own unfulfilled potential. The people who win are not the people who never feel defeated. They are the people who feel defeated 1,000 times but refuse to settle for defeat. Every time you choose to continue, even when you feel broken, you are rebuilding yourself. Every time you persist through fear, you are rewriting what your mind believes you can handle. Every time you rise after a fall, you are proving that resilience is stronger than pain. Growth is not measured by how many times you succeed, but by how many times you stand back up after failing. It's easy to stay motivated when things go well. It's easy to feel confident when you're winning. It's easy to stay committed when results come quickly. But when the results stop, when the progress slows, when the support fades, when the pressure rises, that is where character is forged. That is where champions are made. Champions are not created in the spotlight. They are created in the dark, in the quiet, in the lonely hours when no one is watching. And the only person you must answer to is yourself. Your mind will test you more than any challenge in the world. It will question your purpose, your decisions, and your strength. But you must remember that your mind can be trained just like your muscles. The same way you train your body to lift more weight, you train your mind to carry more responsibility. You build mental strength through repeated resistance, through adversity, through discomfort, through moments when everything in you wants to walk away. And each time you resist the urge to quit, you increase your mental endurance. You become stronger, sharper, and more disciplined. Sometimes the loneliness you feel is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. It's proof that you're on a unique one. When you decide to grow, you naturally outgrow people, habits, environments, and mindsets that once felt comfortable. When you chase something extraordinary, you cannot expect ordinary surroundings to understand. The loneliness is simply the space between who you were and who you're becoming. And though that space may feel empty at times, it is actually where transformation happens. Your dream deserves more than a half-hearted effort. It deserves more than a temporary commitment. It deserves more than your energy only on the days when you feel good. It deserves your loyalty even when the journey is heavy. It deserves your dedication even when the outcome is uncertain. Because the truth is, nothing in life is guaranteed except the regret that comes from quitting too early. Regret is heavy, far heavier than discipline. Regret settles into your heart and whispers what could have been. Discipline, on the other hand, demands effort in the moment, but rewards you with pride for the rest of your life. There will be moments where you have to remind yourself why you started. Not once, not twice, but over and over again. Remind yourself of the goals that once lit a fire in your spirit. Remind yourself of the dreams that felt so real you could almost touch them. Remind yourself of the reasons you refused to settle. Remind yourself of the moments that made you say, I cannot keep living life the way I am. These reminders are your anchor. They keep you grounded when everything else feels unstable. They keep you focused when your emotions feel scattered. They keep you determined when circumstances try to break you. You are allowed to feel tired, but you are not meant to surrender. You are allowed to feel frustrated, but you are not meant to fold. You are allowed to take breaks, but you are not meant to abandon your purpose. Rest is a part of the journey, but quitting is not. You must learn to distinguish between fatigue and failure. Fatigue means you need a moment. Failure means you're learning. Quitting means you're giving up on the person you promised to become, and that is not an option. When you think back to the moment you started, you will remember a version of yourself who believed in something bigger. A version of yourself who saw potential beyond the pain. A version of yourself who had courage even when resources were limited. You owe that version of yourself something. You owe them persistence. You owe them commitment. You owe them the promise that you will keep going until you see what they dreamed of. You didn't start just to survive. You started to grow. You started to transform. You started to break generational patterns, redefine your limits, and create a life that reflects your true potential. So when quitting crosses your mind, remind yourself that stopping now doesn't make the journey easier. It makes your heart heavier. You didn't come this far to only come this far. You are not struggling because you're weak. You are struggling because you are expanding. Pressure doesn't break diamonds. It creates them. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that the moments that almost made you quit were the moments that shaped everything. They taught you endurance. Taught you endurance. They strengthened your identity. They sharpened your focus. They tested your commitment. And they prepared you for the life you've been working to earn. When quitting feels tempting, remember that you once believed this dream was worth fighting for. And if it was worth starting, it is worth finishing. That success is not an event. It is a process, a journey, a series of choices repeated over time that slowly transform your life. Many people want success instantly, but the truth is that true achievement is built through daily commitment, persistent effort, and unwavering focus. You cannot fast forward growth. You cannot skip the lessons that hardship teaches. You cannot achieve mastery without paying the price in sweat, patience, and sacrifice. And yet, too many people approach their dreams as if success is a shortcut, as if luck alone can carry them to the life they imagine. They underestimate the work required, and the moment resistance appears, they turn away. But resistance is not your enemy. It is a signal that you are stepping into territory that will stretch you, that will demand more of you than you are accustomed to giving. Success begins the moment you embrace that challenge instead of avoiding it. Every goal worth achieving will test you. It will ask more from you than you think you have to give. It will demand resilience when your body is tired, clarity when your mind is clouded, and courage when your heart feels weak. Life will not hand you greatness. You must take it. You must earn it with consistency, focus, and unwavering dedication. The obstacles in your path are not punishments. They are opportunities. They are checkpoints that measure how badly you want what you claim to desire. When you understand this, your perception of struggle changes. Every setback becomes a teacher. Every delay becomes a test. and every failure becomes a step toward mastery. Discipline is the backbone of this journey. Talent may get your foot in the door, but discipline ensures that you stay in the room long enough to succeed. Talent shines, but it flickers under pressure. Discipline persists. Discipline builds momentum when motivation falters. Discipline makes you reliable in the absence of applause, consistent in the absence of recognition, and committed in the absence of visible results. The people who achieve greatness are rarely the people with the most talent. They are the people who refuse to stop, who show up every day, who keep improving when it would be easier to quit. Every day you practice discipline, you are training yourself to outlast your doubts, your fear, and your competitor. You are teaching your mind that effort is not optional, and that consistency is the path to transformation. Time is the most powerful tool you have, but it is also the one most easily wasted. Every day is an opportunity to get closer to your goals or to fall further behind. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is rarely a question of intelligence or skill. It is a question of how they manage their time. Successful people understand that time is finite, and every moment spent idling, or procrastinating is a moment lost forever. They plan meticulously, act intentionally, and remain focused on what matters most. They prioritize long-term gains over short-term comfort. They know that every hour, every decision, and every action compounds over time, creating results far greater than a single burst of effort could. Growth is uncomfortable because it demands change. It demands that you shed old habits, break free from limiting beliefs, and leave behind the comfort of familiarity. Every time you resist growth, you feel discomfort. That discomfort is a signal, a guidepost, a reminder that you are moving forward. The path of least resistance will never lead to greatness. Only the path that stretches you, challenges you, and pushes you beyond your current limits produces transformation. If you want to succeed, you must learn to embrace discomfort, to see it not as an obstacle, but as proof that you are expanding, evolving, and moving closer to your potential. Your mindset determines how far you go. Two people can face the same challenge and experience entirely different outcomes because their minds approach difficulty differently. One sees barriers, one sees opportunities, one focuses on limitations, one focuses on solution, one gives up, one perseveres. No! Success begins in the mind long before it manifests in reality. If you believe you can achieve, you will find a way. If you doubt yourself, you will find reasons to fail. That is why cultivating mental strength, resilience, and focus is as important, if not more important, than developing skills or accumulating resources. Your mindset shapes your actions, and your actions shape your life. Failures are not final unless you make them so. Every successful person has failed, often repeatedly, often spectacularly. The difference is that they treat failure as a lesson rather than a verdict. They examine what went wrong, adjust their approach, and try again. They understand that every failure is data, a roadmap pointing toward eventual success. The fear of failure is the greatest barrier most people face. It paralyzes them, limits their ambition, and keeps them trapped in mediocrity. But those who succeed learn to move through fear, to use it as fuel, and to continue even when certainty is absent. Fear is not an enemy. It is an indicator that you are attempting something significant. Consistency is a silent multiplier of effort. Small actions repeated over time create results that are disproportionate to the individual effort invested. Every habit, every routine, every step forward compound, like interest in a bank account. The person who writes for 30 minutes a day will become an accomplished author. The person who trains consistently will become stronger, faster, and more capable. The person who invests consistently in their education, relationships, and skills will eventually surpass those who rely solely on sporadic bursts of inspiration. Consistency is what turns intention into reality, dreams into accomplishments, and potential into achievement. Every day is a choice to move forward or remain stagnant, to rise above your circumstances or to let them define you, to persist in the face of adversity or to surrender to the first sign of difficulty. The choices you make repeatedly, day after day, shape the trajectory of your life far more than any single decision ever could. Success is not built in moments of inspiration, but in the repeated, deliberate actions that reflect your commitment to your goals. It is in the daily grind, The persistent effort and the refusal to quit that real transformation occurs. Your environment plays a critical role in shaping your outcomes. You are influenced by the people you spend time with, the places you inhabit, and the information you consume. And surround yourself with individuals who uplift, challenge, and inspire you. Eliminate negativity, distractions, influences that drain your energy or diminish your ambition. Your environment is not destiny, but it strongly affects your ability to remain focused, motivated, and disciplined. The right environment accelerates growth, while the wrong environment slows it, undermines it, or diverts it entirely. Choose wisely what and whom you allow into your life, because it will either help or hinder your journey. Patience is essential. Nothing worth achieving happens overnight. The world is full of people who quit too soon, who give up before the breakthrough occurs, who abandon their dreams when the results are not immediate. Those who succeed are willing to endure the long seasons of preparation, hard work, and incremental growth. They understand that life is a marathon, not a sprint, and that endurance is far more important than speed. Patience does not mean idleness. It means persistent, focused action sustained over time. Patience is the commitment to keep working toward your goals even when the rewards are delayed. Success is cumulative. It builds quietly over time and comes visible only after years of effort. Every habit, every decision, every ounce of effort, no matter how small, adds to the total. The person who studies consistently, practices deliberately, and perseveres through challenges eventually reaches heights that seem unattainable to those who rely on luck or sporadic effort. Success is rarely sudden. It is the visible result of unseen work done consistently, with purpose and with persistence. Gratitude amplifies the value of success. Recognizing the small victories, appreciating the support of others, and acknowledging the progress you have made fosters a mindset of abundance and resilience. Gratitude keeps you humble, grounded, and motivated. It reminds you that even in struggle, there's something to learn, something to celebrate, and something to build upon. The practice of gratitude transforms challenges into opportunity, setbacks into lessons, and ordinary days into meaningful steps toward extraordinary outcomes. Ultimately, success is a reflection of character. It is not measured solely by wealth, status, or recognition, but by the discipline, integrity, and resilience displayed throughout the journey. Your actions when no one is watching, your choices under pressure, and your commitment when it is difficult to define who you become. Greatness is earned by those who consistently choose to rise, to learn, to grow, and to persevere, regardless of circumstances. Success is not a reward for the lucky. It is the inevitable outcome of intentional, disciplined, and consistent effort applied over time. Your mindset is the most powerful tool you have, more important than talent, more important than resources, and more important than opportunity. It determines how you perceive challenges, how you respond to setbacks, and how far you can go when the world seems to push back. Everything in life begins in the mind. The thoughts you allow to dominate your consciousness shape your actions, and your actions shape your results. If you believe in limitation, you will encounter it at every turn. If you believe in possibility, you will find ways to achieve what others say is impossible. Belief is not passive, it is active, deliberate, and powerful. It is the lens through which you interpret the world, the compass that guides your choices, and the foundation upon which you build every accomplishment. People often underestimate the effect of their mindset because it is invisible. They focus on skill, strategy, or circumstance and neglect the inner work that determines whether those external factors translate into success. Two people can face the same obstacle, have the same resources, and possess the same talent, but their outcomes will differ because of their mindset. One sees the obstacle as a threat and they shrink. The other sees the obstacle as a challenge and they rise. One assumes failure is inevitable and they stop trying. The other assumes success is possible and they find a way forward. Mindset is not just thinking positively, it is training your mind to interpret reality in a way that empowers action, resilience, and growth. Believing you can achieve does not mean ignoring reality. It does not mean pretending challenges do not exist. It means acknowledging difficulties while refusing to let them control you. It means telling yourself that failure is not final, that setbacks are temporary, and that every problem contains a solution waiting to be discovered. The person who understands this operates from a position of strength because they are not at the mercy of circumstance. They are not defined by their fears. They are not limited by what others think is possible. Instead, they see opportunities where others see dead ends, lessons where others see defeat, and pathways where others see wall. The way you speak to yourself is a reflection of your mindset. Your internal dialogue has the power to either elevate you or destroy you. Words like "I can't," "it's too hard," or "I'll never make it" are self-imposed barriers that close doors before you even try. Words like "I will find a way," "I'm capable," and "I will keep going" are keys that open doors and create momentum. Every thought is a seed. Plant doubt and it grows into fear, hesitation, and inaction. Plant belief and it grows into confidence, determination, and results. The mind is fertile ground. Whatever you feed it, doubt or belief, fear or courage, weakness or strength, becomes the reality you live in. Your mindset also determines how you deal with failure. Failure is inevitable in every meaningful pursuit. Every successful person has experienced it, often multiple times, and sometimes in ways that felt crushing. The difference is that some people allow failure to define them, while others allow it to teach them. Your mindset decides whether failure is a permanent defeat or a temporary detour. If you approach failure with a fixed mindset, you see it as proof that you lack talent, ability, or worth. If you approach failure with a growth mindset, you see it as feedback, information that can be used to improve, adjust, and move forward with greater wisdom. Mindset converts stumbling blocks into stepping stones. When you train your mind to believe in possibility, you also train it to endure. Challenges are easier to face when you know that your belief is unshakable. Confidence built from repeated self-affirmation allows you to persevere when motivation fades. When you have a strong mindset, the opinion of others cannot derail your progress. External criticism loses power because you trust your own inner voice. Doubt from outside sources becomes irrelevant because you know your capability, your goals, and your reasons for pursuing them. Mindset creates an inner fortress where persistence, courage, and determination are protected from the storms of life. Visualization is a critical part of mindset. The mind responds to what it sees clearly. When you imagine yourself achieving your goal, solving your problem, or overcoming your obstacle, your brain begins to work subconsciously to make that vision a reality. Elite athletes, successful entrepreneurs, and high achievers all practice this principle. They visualize the outcome, rehearse the process, and believe so fully in the possibility that they act with the confidence and clarity necessary to achieve it. What you believe and what you see in your minds prepares your body, your emotions, and your actions for success before it even begins in reality. Another aspect of mindset is the understanding that obstacles are part of growth, not signs to quit. When your mindset is strong, you see resistance not as a punishment, but as an indicator that you are moving in the right direction. Every challenge, setback, and difficulty becomes a test of your commitment and a tool for building resilience. The stronger your mindset, the less intimidating obstacles become, because you know that your inner strength and determination will carry you through. You do not wait for problems to disappear before acting. You act in spite of them, confident that solutions exist and can be discovered. Mindset is also the driver of personal responsibility. Those with a strong, growth-oriented mindset recognize that their life is the result of their choices, not the circumstances they are given. They do not blame luck, environment, or other people for their failures. They understand that while they cannot control everything that happens, they can control how they respond. This understanding empowers action and prevents helplessness. When you take responsibility for your outcome, you stop being a victim of circumstance and start being the architect of your destiny. Belief in yourself requires daily reinforcement. It is not enough to think positively once or twice. You must consistently feed your mind with affirmations, visualization, study, reflection, and deliberate practice. You must train your thoughts just as you train your body. Neglecting your mindset is like neglecting your physical health. Eventually, weakness appears and the results suffer. Strengthening your mindset is a daily practice, a lifelong commitment, and a deliberate act of will. Every time you choose belief over doubt, courage over fear, and action over hesitation, you reinforce your capacity to achieve. Your mindset also affects how you perceive opportunity. People with a limiting mindset see scarcity, competition, and barriers. People with an empowering mindset see abundance, potential, and pathways. When your mind is trained to focus on what is possible, doors open that others don't even notice. You become creative, resourceful, and solution-oriented. You learn to convert setbacks into opportunities, limitations into advantages, and problems into stepping stones. Mindset shapes not only what you achieve, but also how you interpret and leverage the circumstances around you. Consistency in mindset is as important as consistency in action. Believing in yourself occasionally is not enough. Acting with confidence sporadically is not enough. The results you desire come from a sustained, unwavering mindset that supports your every decision, effort, and response. You cannot achieve extraordinary outcomes with an ordinary mind. The person who consistently reinforces belief, focus, resilience, and courage positions themselves to act decisively when opportunity presents itself. In this way, mindset multiplies the effectiveness of your efforts. Every great accomplishment begins with the belief that it is possible. Every breakthrough, innovation, and transformation starts as an idea in the mind. If you do not believe in your capacity to achieve, no amount of effort or opportunity can create success. The mind must see the possibility first. The body and the environment respond afterward. Belief creates energy, and energy drives action. When your mind is aligned with your goal, your decisions, habits, and behaviors naturally follow in a pattern that produces results. Mindset also influences the level of courage you can summon. Every meaningful pursuit requires risk. You cannot grow, lead, or achieve without stepping into uncertainty. The stronger your mindset, the more willing you are to face risk with confidence. You become resilient in the face of criticism, unshakable in the presence of doubt, and persistent despite challenges. A strong mindset allows you to act decisively when hesitation and fear might otherwise paralyze you. Courage is the product of a belief system that trusts in your ability to adapt, learn, and overcome. Finally, mindset is contagious. Your beliefs, confidence, and energy influence those around you. Leaders, parents, teachers, and mentors all understand that their mindset affects not only their own outcomes, but the outcomes of everyone they influence. By cultivating a mindset of growth, possibility, and determination, you elevate not only yourself, but also the people you interact with. Your belief becomes a beacon for action, inspiring others to take steps they might have thought impossible. In the end, your mindset shapes your reality. It dictates what you notice, what you believe, how you respond, and what you achieve. Belief in yourself is not a luxury, it's a necessity. You will face challenges, obstacles, and moments of doubt, but a mindset trained in possibility, resilience, and determination will find a way. You will discover solutions where others see problems, opportunities where others see dead ends, and strength where others see weakness. Your mindset is your foundation. Nurture it, protect it, strengthen it daily. Because once you believe you can, the path forward becomes visible, and you will find a way to achieve what others only dream of. The people you surround yourself with have an extraordinary impact on your life, your mindset, and the trajectory of your dreams. Success is rarely achieved in isolation. No one rises to greatness entirely on their own. The friends, mentors, colleagues, and partners you choose to spend your time with either lift you up or weigh you down. They shape your habits, your thinking, and even the language you use to describe your possibilities. Every individual you allow into your inner circle becomes a reflection of what you accept, tolerate, or aspire to. Choosing wisely is not optional, it is essential. If you want to reach high levels of success, productivity, and personal growth, you must intentionally cultivate relationships with people who push you forward, challenge you to be better, and inspire you to take action when motivation is low. Surrounding yourself with positive, growth-oriented individuals creates a network of influence that reinforces your own mindset. You absorb their energy, their determination, their habits, and their beliefs. You see their discipline, their courage, and their resilience in the face of adversity, and it teaches you what is possible. Just as a plant grows stronger when placed in nutrient-rich soil, your potential flourishes when placed around people who feed your ambition, challenge your limits, and hold you accountable. Toxic, negative, or complacent individuals, on the other hand, drain your energy, limit your vision, and subtly convince you to settle for mediocrity. Who you allow to influence your thinking directly shapes the outcomes you create in life. Accountability is one of the most powerful gifts of surrounding yourself with the right people. When you spend time with individuals who demand excellence, you are forced to rise to the standard they expect. You cannot hide behind excuses or rationalizations without being confronted. The friends and mentors who push you forward see your potential when you may not see it yourself. They challenge you to act, to take risks, to follow through on your commitments. Accountability keeps you consistent when motivation fades. It transforms intention into action. Without people who hold you to your word, it becomes too easy to settle for less than you are capable of achieving. The people around you also shape your language and self-perception. Words have power. They reflect your identity and shape your reality. If the people in your inner circle speak negatively, complain constantly, and focus on limitations, you begin to mirror that language. It becomes embedded in your thinking, your self-talk, and your expectations. Conversely, if your circle speaks in terms of possibility, action, and growth, your mind begins to adopt those same beliefs. You start to perceive challenges as opportunities, obstacles as lessons, and setbacks as temporary. The influence of your environment is subtle but profound. Choose companions whose words and energy elevate rather than diminish your potential. Growth is accelerated when you are challenged. Complacency thrives in comfort and conformity. If everyone around you agrees with you, validates every thought, and never questions your choices, you stagnate. People who push you forward provoke discomfort because they challenge assumptions, confront weaknesses, and demand more effort than you thought possible. This discomfort is necessary. It forces you to stretch beyond your perceived limits, to develop resilience, and to grow into the person capable of achieving greater goals. Surround yourself with those who hold a mirror up to your potential, even when it is uncomfortable, because true progress is never easy. Mentorship plays a critical role in this process. Finding people who have already achieved what you aspire to accomplish allows you to shortcut mistakes, learn from their experience, and gain insight into strategies that actually work. Mentors push you forward by showing you what is possible and demonstrating the mindset, habits, and discipline necessary for success. They challenge you to adopt higher standards, refine your approach, and commit to the long-term process. Surrounding yourself with mentors ensures that your journey is guided by wisdom, not trial and error alone. Energy is contagious. You have likely experienced the influence of someone whose energy inspired you to push harder, aim higher, and believe more fully in your capabilities. Just as negative energy spreads and drains your motivation, positive energy amplifies it. Being around people who are driven, passionate, and committed instills a sense of urgency and possibility. You begin to adopt their rhythm, their dedication, and their optimism. The people who surround you set the tone for your own behavior. If you wish to elevate your life, you must elevate the company you keep. Peer influence also matters because your habits are reinforced socially. If you spend time with individuals who prioritize growth, learning, and discipline, you naturally adopt similar behaviors. You start reading more, taking action more consistently, and prioritizing long-term goals over instant gratification. Conversely, being surrounded by laziness, excuses, and distractions subtly encourages complacency. Habits are easier to maintain when supported socially, and consistency becomes more achievable when your circle models the behaviors you wish to embody. Criticism and honest feedback are invaluable tools provided by the right people. When you are surrounded by those who care about your success, they will challenge your thinking, point out blind spots, and push you to improve. This feedback is essential for refining your strategies, correcting course, and avoiding the stagnation that comes from thinking you already know enough. People who hold you accountable and challenge you are often uncomfortable to be around because growth itself is uncomfortable. But their influence is priceless because it accelerates your progress in ways you cannot achieve alone. The importance of aligning values with your circle cannot be overstated. Surround yourself with individuals who share your vision, commitment, and ethical standards. Misalignment creates friction. distraction, and unnecessary conflict. Shared values amplify collaboration, mutual support, and shared learning. When your circle is aligned, you can focus your energy on pursuing your goals rather than defending your choices or being pulled off course by misaligned expectations. Alignment fosters synergy, collaboration, and accelerated growth. Emotional support is another crucial benefit of surrounding yourself with positive, motivated people. Pursuing meaningful goals is challenging, and setbacks can feel overwhelming. People who genuinely support you provide encouragement, guidance, and reassurance when you are tempted to quit. They celebrate your victories, provide perspective during hardships, and remind you of your capabilities when doubt creeps in. Emotional support combined with accountability and challenge creates an environment where growth is inevitable because it addresses both the mental and emotional dimensions of success. Being selective about your circle also means distancing yourself from those who diminish your potential. Some individuals are naturally toxic, but others may be unintentionally limiting. Friends, family, or colleagues who are overly critical, negative, or unsupportive can subtly sabotage your confidence and influence your mindset. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it is necessary for progress. You cannot rise higher if your environment keeps pulling you down. Learning to say no to relationships that drain rather than empower is a form of self-respect and a prerequisite for achieving greatness. The people you surround yourself with also shape your perspective on what is possible. They set the standard of achievement you believe is attainable. If your circle is complacent, you unconsciously adopt lower expectations. If your circle is ambitious, driven, and successful, your vision expands. Seeing what is possible through the lens of others' accomplishments raises your expectations of yourself, challenges your limits, and motivates you to take action. Surrounding yourself with people who operate at a higher level creates a blueprint for what you can become. Collaboration and mutual growth are essential outcomes of a strong circle. When you surround yourself with people who push you forward, you are not only inspired, but also able to leverage collective knowledge, experience, and resources. Collaboration accelerates learning, opens doors to opportunities, and allows for creative problem solving. Growth becomes exponential when you engage with people who bring different perspectives, complementary skills, and unwavering commitment to personal development. Together, your efforts produce results far beyond what you could achieve alone. Finally, your circle influences your resilience. Challenges, failures, and setbacks are inevitable, but the right people help you endure. They remind you of your goals when your motivation falters, provide perspective when frustration overwhelms, and model perseverance that you can emulate. Resilience is built socially as much as individually. The people around you can either amplify your capacity to endure or magnify your desire to quit. Choosing wisely determines how far you can go when the path becomes difficult. The truth is, your potential is reflected by the company you keep. If you want to elevate your life, you must elevate your relationships. Seek out people who challenge you, inspire you, hold you accountable, and model the standards of success you aspire to reach. Remove influences that distract, drain, or diminish your vision. Protect your energy, nurture your growth, and invest in relationships that expand your possibilities. Your inner circle will either propel you toward greatness or anchor you in mediocrity. The choice is yours, and the stakes are high. By surrounding yourself with people who push you forward, you are investing in your future, your dreams, and the realization of your true potential. That your breakthrough is often closer than you think, hidden just beyond the moment when you feel like giving up. Most people quit right before the point where their persistence would have finally paid off. The moment of exhaustion, the moment of frustration, the moment of doubt, that is often the exact moment before the breakthrough occurs. Life has a way of testing your commitment, stretching your patience, and pushing your limits. And it is in those moments that the greatest transformation happens. The reason most people fail is not because they lack talent, intelligence, or resources, but because they give up too soon. They stop moving forward when the solution is just one more step away. The difference between those who succeed and those who do not is simply the ability to keep going when the mind and body are begging to quit. Breakthroughs are not random. They are the result of relentless effort, repeated action, and unwavering focus. They are the cumulative effect of thousands of small, consistent choices made over time. Every hour spent learning, every extra effort put in, every time you choose persistence over surrender. These are the invisible investments that build toward a visible result. Just because you cannot see progress immediately does not mean it is not happening. The seed you planted months ago is now forming roots underground, unseen, preparing to sprout. The breakthrough will appear, but only if you continue to nurture the effort, continue to believe, and continue to show up. Most people underestimate the importance of resilience. They do not realize that the breakthrough is not just about skill or strategy, it's about endurance. It is about having the mental and emotional strength to continue in spite of obstacles, setbacks, and failures. Every challenge you face is a test of your commitment to yourself, to your goal, and to your vision. The breakthrough is reserved for those who endure when others quit, who fight when others surrender, and who remain disciplined when others relax their efforts. The harder the struggle, the more profound the victory. And the closer the breakthrough is often hidden behind the very struggle that tempts you to quit. Failure is a necessary companion on the journey toward breakthrough. It is the feedback loop that shows you what works, what doesn't, and what needs adjustment. Every failed attempt is a lesson disguised as a setback. Yet, when people feel like quitting, they focus on the failure rather than the opportunity. They focus on what went wrong rather than what can be learned. They focus on the temporary pain rather than the long-term reward. Understanding that failure is part of the process allows you to keep moving forward even when the progress is not immediately visible. Your breakthrough is the product of persistence through failure, the result of refusing to let setbacks define your story. Timing is deceptive. You may feel like your efforts are wasted because results are not immediate, but breakthroughs are often delayed for reasons that make the moment of success even more powerful. If you had succeeded earlier, you might not have been prepared for the responsibility, the opportunity, or the impact. The struggle prepares you, molds you, and equips you with skills, wisdom, and resilience that are only forged through the process. Patience is critical. When you are willing to endure, the breakthrough arrives fully ready to transform your life. You do not get just the success, you get the person capable of handling the success. Motivation is temporary, but purpose is eternal. The breakthrough is sustained by the reason why you started, the vision you hold, and the commitment to your goal. When you feel like quitting, reconnect with your purpose. Remember the vision that once inspired you, the goal that made the sacrifices feel worthwhile, and the person you are striving to become. Purpose acts as a compass, guiding you through doubt, fear, and fatigue. It is the force that keeps you moving forward when the visible evidence of progress seems absent. Without purpose, quitting feels like relief. With purpose, quitting feels like betrayal to yourself and your potential. Your mindset during the struggle determines whether you reach the breakthrough. Some people see obstacles as insurmountable. Others see them as stepping stones. Some see criticism as discouragement. Others see it as guidance. Some see delays as failure. Others see them as preparation. The breakthrough favors the person with a growth-oriented mindset, someone who can see beyond the immediate discomfort and focus on the eventual reward. Mindset transforms adversity into opportunity. It allows you to maintain belief when everything inside you is screaming to quit. It creates resilience that carries you to the point where the breakthrough becomes inevitable. Breakthroughs often require risk. To achieve something extraordinary, you must step into uncertainty, face fear, and challenge comfort. The moment before the breakthrough is often the moment that requires the greatest courage. It is the point where the mind warns you that it is too hard, too late, or too risky. But the breakthrough exists precisely because you dare to push past that point. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in spite of fear. Every time you take that step when you are afraid, you move closer to the breakthrough. Every risk you take with determination, focus, accelerates the arrival of the moment you have been striving for. Consistency is the bridge to the breakthrough. Every small repeated action compounds over time. The breakthrough is rarely a sudden lightning strike. It is the natural result of consistent effort, deliberate practice, and unwavering focus. Just as water shapes rock through persistent pressure, your actions, repeated daily, carve a path to success. You must continue even when progress seems invisible. You must maintain effort even when results are delayed. You must act with faith that your labor is not wasted, that the breakthrough is forming quietly, and that every step brings you closer to the point where all the pieces come together. Belief in yourself is critical at the moment of breakthrough. Doubt is natural, but it is also dangerous. The closer you get to a breakthrough, the louder your doubts and fears may become. The mind often interprets the unfamiliar intensity of growth as a signal to stop. But if you trust your preparation, your effort, and your persistence, you can continue past the point where most people quit. Breakthroughs are for those who maintain self-belief when the external world may not yet acknowledge their progress. Confidence in your ability to endure, adapt, and achieve is what carries you to the moment where transformation occurs. The breakthrough is often accompanied by a shift in perspective. It is not just a tangible result. It is a transformation in how you see yourself, your capabilities, and your potential. The person who achieves the breakthrough is not the same person who started the journey. They have grown, learned, and evolved in ways that make them capable of handling new responsibilities, opportunities, and challenges. The breakthrough validates the struggle, rewards the perseverance, and reinforces the lessons learned through adversity. It is both an external achievement and an internal evolution. Action must continue even when you feel exhausted, discouraged, or uncertain. The breakthrough is rarely passive. It requires intentional effort at the moment when effort feels hardest. It requires showing up when motivation fades. It requires making decisions, taking steps, and solving problems even when the outcome is not yet visible. The breakthrough exists on the other side of action, past hesitation, beyond fear, and after the point where most people stop. Every action you take moves you closer to the moment when persistence becomes reward. Reflection and learning are also essential. Each step toward the breakthrough should be accompanied by insight and adaptation. Understanding what works, what doesn't, and how to adjust increases the likelihood of success. The breakthrough is not a coincidence. It is the outcome of strategic action, informed by experience and guided by perseverance. Reflection ensures that your efforts are not wasted, that your direction remains aligned with your goals, and every setback becomes a lesson that strengthens your path forward. The breakthrough is rarely solitary. Along the way, the influence of mentors, peers, and supporters often plays a critical role. Surrounding yourself with people who challenge you, inspire you, and hold you accountable increases your capacity to reach the point where the breakthrough occurs. Guidance, encouragement, and honest feedback are tools that help you navigate the toughest moments. The breakthrough is easier to sustain when you have learned, practiced, and grown in collaboration with others who share your commitment to excellence. Persistence is the defining quality that separates those who achieve the breakthrough from those who do not. Talent, opportunity, and resources are important, but persistence ensures that these elements are utilized effectively. Persistence is the force that drives continued effort when results are delayed. Persistence is the energy that keeps you moving past the temptation to quit. Persistence is the habit of refusing to surrender to temporary discomfort in pursuit of permanent transformation. Without persistence, the breakthrough remains just out of reach. With persistence, it becomes inevitable. Finally, the breakthrough validates your journey. It is the reward for resilience, the payoff for faith, and the manifestation of effort sustained over time. It is proof that the struggle was necessary, that the sacrifices were worthwhile, and that the person you have become is capable of achieving extraordinary results. The breakthrough is not just a goal reached. It is a moment of transformation that confirms your commitment, elevates your potential, and sets the stage for even greater achievements. It is a reminder that the difference between quitting and victory is often just one more step, one more decision, one more act of courage, and one more day of persistence.